You all right? Did this scare you?
No.
Oh, good.
Oh, Keon! Hey, that was all right. I can't believe it's like, man, it was just great. It was.
Keon,
Huh?
did they hurt you?
I know.
You're amazing.
Thank
How do
you.
you do some of that? It was just like, what?
That's Chinese Kung Fu.
Hello, listening people.
Hello.
You're listening to Spit and Polish Presents Pictures Powwow. I am one of your hosts, Ryan Swinski.
And I'm Bartek.
How are you, Bartek?
I'm doing well, Ryan. How are you?
Doing very well. It's another cold time recording. I'm all rugged up. I had a hot chocolate just before we recorded this, so now I'm warm on the inside as well as the outside.
I put on socks.
What's that? You're wearing socks?
Yeah.
That's it? You're nothing else, just socks. So, listeners, just imagine Bartek recording this completely nude, but in socks. Completely missing the sock gap.
And Ryan wearing nothing, but he's carrying a hot chocolate.
No, it's inside of me.
Yeah, carrying it in your stomach.
Ah, of course. That's how we carry food
Yeah,
all
it's
the
a container.
time. It's a container, yeah, not a very good one.
It's like a septic tank.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got it, Bartek, nailed it. So, we are doing our show, Pictures Powwow, our weekly show in which we discuss a movie that has come recommended. The recommendation order goes Bartek, myself, and listening people. This time round, it's the listening people suggestion. Our friend from the Miscellaneous podcast, who did in fact join us for our discussion on the film Jack and Jill, Giuseppe, decided to recommend this to us very early on. This was one of our first recommendations for this show, and it's just taken us a while to get to it. There's just been other things that have piqued our curiosity or have been a bit more relevant, but it's just been sitting there, and I've just been saying to myself, well, it's time. It's time for a Rumble in the Bronx. 1995. So, Bartek and I watched the English dub of this film because it was hard to find the Cantonese version of the movie, so we'll be discussing that particular version of the film. It was a bit of a hassle to try and locate that copy of the film. So, the English dub also seems to be the version most people have watched, from my understanding. And it's funny, the English dub, isn't it, Bartek? Would you agree?
Yeah, I had a good time with it.
Reminded me of Kung Pao a lot.
Yeah.
So we'll be discussing a Rumble in the Bronx 1995, Jackie Chan in depth. So if you listening people have not had a chance to watch the film beforehand, give it a watch because we're going to be talking about it in depth. Spoiler alert, there's not really much of a deep plot to this. It is an excuse to watch Jackie Chan fight a bunch of guys. That's the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Bartek, give me your history and relationship with this movie, and what did you think?
Ain't never seen it, no sir.
Yeah?
What's your history, Ryan?
Had you at least heard of it?
Yes, I have.
So there you go, you have a relationship with it. You have heard of this film's existence before.
Yes. I have a relationship with a lot of people then.
Well, yeah. Well, yes, Bartek, that's the point. Like, it's different if you had never heard of this film's existence before, because that's my relationship with this movie. I had never heard of this film's existence before. So I had completely nothing invested into watching it. Like, I had no expectations. All I knew was when I looked it up to add it to our list, it said starring Jackie Chan. That's all I knew. So I knew from that we were going to get an action-packed comedy romp, which is what we got.
Yeah, I'd heard of the film, but I didn't know who was in it. So when you told me last week that it's a Jackie Chan film, I'm like, oh, okay.
So what did you think? First time viewing it?
Yep, I had a really good time with it. I can definitely see that this is one of those films where you don't have to worry too much about a lot of film elements like the story and plot development. It really is just an excuse for martial arts fun.
Yes, it is. Well, how did I feel about it? Well, there was a tiger in a club in this movie at one point. That was very bizarre, and that's how I kind of feel about it. It was a bizarre viewing experience, to say the least. I found it very amusing throughout and very charming, and as the film went on, It got more cartoony and more goofy and more bizarre, and thus it became more and more endearing to me.
Hmm.
When I was first watching it, I was kind of thrown off because, it's just kind of Jackie Chan comes to the Bronx and he starts working in a grocery store, and oh no, there's the Escape from New York, the Warriors Mad Max roving gang, and I just thought, oh, is this going to be a movie where it's him versus this motorcycle gang? And then the movie's like, fuck the motorcycle gang, they suck. How about these guys in suits? What do you think of
Yeah.
them? And I'm
Jackie Chan brings up tea.
yeah, it's yeah, he does bring up tea. You're right, there is no real point in discussing this in an analytical fashion because the film isn't there for that. Just like how John Wick isn't there for that. Just like how a lot of those action-y type of movies, a lot of Jackie Chan Hong Kong action movies aren't there for us to go, well, character-wise, it fell a bit flat when the movie just cut to a freeze frame and then it abruptly ended. It's an excuse to show off these stunts, and does it need to be more than that? Well, yes, it does, because the film does exceed more than just being stunts. You do get a slight investment in these characters. There is a humorous tone to the film that is, like I said, absurd, bizarre, but endearing nonetheless. And you need a central figure, Jackie Chan, to drive home the film, because if this wasn't Jackie Chan, if this was just some other guy, if this was Leo Fong, then this movie wouldn't be as interesting. Jackie Chan is a natural charming presence, as we have discussed on this show, on the podcast before, because Bartek and I, we're both Jackie Chan fans, aren't we? Bartek?
Yeah. There hasn't been too much that I've seen, but everything I have seen I've enjoyed.
Yeah, I haven't seen all of his stuff, or a lot of his stuff. I've only seen probably like 8 or 9 of his films, and I like the guy. He seems like a charming, funny guy. When the movie ended and there was just a moment in the blooper reel, which we'll talk about, that had him, like it ended with him looking at the camera laughing, I said to my wife, Jackie Chan smiling and laughing is like the Lord's embrace, all-encompassing. Because that's how it feels. He's just got such an infectious energy, Jackie Chan. And I think that's a part of the charm to him, as well as he's very skilled at what he does.
Yeah, and a lot of the characters he tends to play are a little on the dweeby end, on top of all of his, charming and martial arts.
Yes, although in this film, is he supposed to be a dweeb, or is he supposed to be hunky, hot, and cute? Because those are things that were said about him throughout the film.
I think cute kind of sort of leans into the dweeb.
I guess, but the other two don't, do they?
Well, true, yeah, but that comes with the whole martial arts thing on top of the dweebiness.
On top of the dweebiness. So, Bartek, tell me about your viewing experience.
Yeah, I mean, it took a little while to really get to some of the big choreographed moments. So definitely, if we're going to be invested in the story, the film starts off pretty much pure story. Like we learn about his family, we learn about the gang, and I guess when we first learn about the gang, he does do like the thing where he jumps out the window, goes down the ladder. But then I think once it starts being a thing that he fights the gang in the supermarket, that's really where, quote unquote, the film starts.
Yeah, that's true. You've also got to remember that early on they introduced us to, like the two girls of the movie, that he will have I don't even know if a love triangle is the apt description for it, but love something with both of them, I don't know.
He has a chemistry.
He has a chemistry with both of them, yes. There's the wheelchair boy, and then halfway through the film they introduce the gang with the diamonds. Like, they introduce the diamonds being a thing on the radio, on the TV in the background, but they don't actually introduce the white tiger guy until far later into the movie than you would expect.
Yeah, it's one of those films where, like, for the most part, he's dealing with the lower level threat, then once he finishes them off, the higher level threat takes over.
do you find it interesting that the lower level threat has no connection to the higher level threat? Because usually in a film like this, they are connected. But
Yeah, like a pre-established connection.
whether that is a part of the same gang or not, or they're allies with his gang or lackeys, but they're not at all connected. They're just like two separate entities.
It's just like the asshole of the lower level gang, like, runs into them and takes their jewels.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to narrow it down with the asshole of their gang, because there's like, that's all their gang are assholes. They're all
Yeah,
jerks.
but like the asshole among the group of assholes, basically.
Oh, you mean Angelo? They said his name
Angelo.
like 15 million times, Bartek. How could you forget it?
I didn't forget it. I was describing him.
Angelo. I would describe him as the man who showed us his asshole in that scene where he wiggled his butt at us.
Definitely the cheeks.
Definitely the cheeks. He got whipped on them. That was very amusing. Okay, just to talk about negatives, because there's, like we said, it's kind of pointless, but there are some negatives to point to. I think it was a little slow going at the beginning. I agree. I think it would have been nicer to get into some action a little earlier on. I don't know how to feel about the romance, yet lack of romance. I was under the impression that the woman who owns the grocery store that he works at was actually going to be a significant character in the plot, and then she isn't. Which is, I don't know, like, she is in the plot, but she's not really significant to anything.
Yeah, she doesn't really move too much beyond acquaintance.
She doesn't even get in the role of damsel in distress, which I'm thankful for, but at the same time, she's given nothing to do, and I thought that actress she was charming as well, and I thought her and Jackie Chan had good on-screen chemistry for the version that I saw. Like, their conversations were really sweet and really nice. And then her later, when she's like losing her mind and being really angry and she's on the toilet and all that, that was really fun, but she doesn't get to do anything in the plot. And
yeah, pretty much from the toilet scene, she's kind of out of it.
And well, even before that, like, they have,
Yeah, there was a long stretch.
there's just long stretches where she's not there, and then the girl that he does go on an actual date with, the sister.
Was it Nancy?
Sure. I'm just gonna call them the girls. The sister character,
Yeah.
she's okay. Like, I don't know, I didn't buy their relationship or their chemistry. Like, it kind of felt like, oh, she's overwhelmed by her brother's emotions. She reveals that she's in the room, and Jackie Chan's like, oh my god, it's you, and they have that like little back and forth, like, let's not talk about this now. And then it's like, and then they're on a date. And I just didn't buy that chemistry. I didn't buy that relationship. And in the end, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't really tell you if he gets with one or the other or not. Heck, I don't even remember. Does he get to kiss her in the movie?
No, he kisses his aunt.
Yeah, he kisses his aunt. And that's kind of like, okay. Like, the romance stuff was weirdly done, and kind of, like, they focused on it enough to have it there, but didn't focus on it enough as well. It kind of felt like a weirdly matched thing, to the point in which I just say, why was there even any romantic inclinations? I could have just done without Jackie Chan having any of that in the first place.
Yeah, basically, from how the film ends, like, oh, we've just taken down the bad guy, cut to credits, you can tell where their priorities were, very blatantly.
Mm-hmm. And I think that would have been a greater ending, but there was stuff that I was saying in my brain where I go, oh yeah, but it won't end there, because he has to get with the girl. He's going to be a fatherly figure / brother-in-law figure to the little boy in the wheelchair who just disappears in a cab and we never see him again. He's got to help the chick with her grocery store. Like, I was still thinking of like all the things that are left undone at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, like, don't get me wrong, I like abrupt endings where it's just like, and then they kill the bad guy and the movie's over. I like those things, and I think it does work for this movie, but at the same time, there were so many other story elements and character elements that were set up that I'm still thinking about after the plot has finished, and not in a satisfied way. Last episode, I was saying, at the end of the film, Harvey, I still think about those characters and that world beyond the story of the film, but that was in a more positive light. Like, I don't need to actually see that, but I think about that. But in my brain, I think I would like to have seen more after where it ended instead of just blooper reels.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like my main criticisms of the film. It has a good pacing, it looks good, the action is good, and the characters are still fun. I don't think I hate a single character. I think it's just weirdly executed. I think maybe the biker gang could have been more interesting. Like, Angelo's like the only one from that gang that I can assign a personality to. That's like the only one in that gang that I can go, oh, he had a defining characteristic about him. But the others, yeah, they turned up a lot, but I don't really associate them having a major character trait at all.
Yeah, it's basically there's the leader, the Cantonese guy, there's Angelo, and then the rest is sort of like a hive mind.
Oh, there is that one who's dressed up like a cowboy. That one gets appeared a lot, like he gets punched into a fridge. And he appears a lot, and he does say a few things, but he doesn't have a character.
There's one that gets killed.
There is one that gets killed, yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. It's just like in a movie like this is what I said in our Terminator review, Bartek, where there are some movies that are so heavily inspired and influenced by others. This has a real The Warriors, Mad Max, and Escape from New York flavor to it, in which you have this extravagant characters, especially these roving gangs that don't get stopped by any form of authority. Like, authorities do exist in this movie, but they don't exist when bad things are happening. You have these colorful gangs that exist as just gimmicks. Usually those are like more fun, or they have more flavor to them. This gang, they're just kind of there. They're there.
Very, very typical of that type of gang. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were fine. They did their things, and then their story ended, and then it was like, and now the other gang, which I also didn't find that interesting because they got introduced really late into the movie, and I didn't care about them.
Mm.
Other than that, that's like my criticisms of the movie, and like I said, those don't really impact the film as a whole, because this film is an excuse to watch Jackie Chan be funny, charming, and do great action stunt pieces. What about you, Bartek? Any negatives you want to talk about or bring up that I didn't bring up or emphasize that really stuck in your craw?
No, that is really about it. Like, the main appeal is the action, and all of the stuff that wasn't, that choreographed action was kind of, subpar, but also if you're gonna have it, put a bit more. If you're not gonna put much to it, then maybe cut down on it. That's really about it.
Yeah. Now, this is an action movie, so obviously the question will be, did you have a favorite action set piece? But before that, I want to ask, did you have a favorite action moment? So it's not a whole set piece, but just like a small little piece of action that happened that you were just like, yeah. Because I had a few.
In terms of moments, I definitely have favorite set pieces in general, but moment. Let's see.
I can give you mine. So
Yeah.
mine was, and this was when it was the first action moment, like actiony thing that I was like, fuck yeah. It really got my juices pumping, is when he's in the car park area and he's being chased by the motorcycles and all that. And he stands behind, like he's leaning up against like a parking attendant stall or whatever. And the bike goes past him and he just walks up behind it and removes the guy on the back seat of the bike.
Oh, that was a good one.
And then just beats the shit out of him. And then that in itself. But then the motorcycle turns around and he just like lowers the beam to knock the guy off the bike. Now that was where I was like, fuck yeah.
That was a good one, especially since just before that happened, they were all like screaming and being crazy to like intimidate him. So it's like, oh, you're not screaming now.
That was a little action moment that I found really, really resonated with me, where I was just like, yes, yes. Because in all these action movies, there's many action set pieces that you love, but there's those little moments within the action set pieces that you can go, oh, I really like that. Like, I really liked when Jackie Chan went through the shopping trolley. That was fun in the greater action set piece. And you can do that with all action movies. Like, in one of the new John Wick movies, he kills a guy with a book. that was an amazing action moment and a great action set piece, and so on and so forth. So any others, any that you can think of?
I don't know, man. I was really just focusing on like the sequences. Like, oh man, how's he gonna follow this up? And it's like, oh, he gets knocked at this point, and then that leads to him picking up something, and yeah, just I guess sequences. I was focusing more than just individual things, but definitely the beginning of the one that you said, where he knocks out the guy in the back, was a good one.
Yeah, just to list a few other action moments, little moments that I really liked. I really enjoyed. I don't know why, but I really did enjoy when they run over the car with the hovercraft, and
Oh yeah,
and just that guy's reaction to it all, like, what the hell, man, my car! Like, I don't know why,
that was a really good minor character.
just in a chase scene and I've never seen a hovercraft used in a big action set piece chase scene before, ever, that I can think of.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one that big. I always think of them as like sort of smaller things.
Yeah, so do I. So do I. I don't know if they are genuinely that big or they like, specialty
Well,
things.
I read in the trivia that that's apparently like a Canadian like
Thing.
not defense thing, but like helps to save people that are drowning or whatever.
True. And like I said, an action moment is when he whips Angelo on the arse with the
I was
car
gonna say,
antenna.
yeah. That jump he did after that too. That was a good one.
Or when he's stuck on the side and is getting grazed by the side of a truck. That was a fun little action moment. Which is then later done, like later kind of played upon when he's hiding in between the tankers in the dockyard. When he's stuck in between one.
Yeah.
It kind of shows us that Jackie Chan's character and Jackie Chan can fit in tight spaces early on. There you go.
He's like a cat.
So, action set pieces, did you have a favorite?
I really like the bar fight.
Yeah?
Or the club fight, whatever it was.
Yeah. What about it? Really stuck with you?
It was in an enclosed space, so there wasn't as much movement as like the car park or, the final chase sequence. And it just really made use of everything in the room. I thought that was just really great to look at. Like every 3 seconds you could still be like wowed by something.
Yeah. Is this the club sequence you're talking about in which he uses all the pinball machines and the fridge and whatnot?
It's the final fight against the first gang.
Yeah.
Basically.
The big
pinball and the behind the sliding door.
Yeah.
The shopping trolley thing, just everything there.
Yeah, the shopping trolley thing was really funny. Yeah, that was a fun set piece. I will give you that. I minorly enjoyed the one where he falls for the honey trap in which he thinks that woman's being raped and then she's actually not, and he gets ambushed by that gang, and he's having like that stairwell rooftop battle with them, and he's like ping-ponging around, doing parkour-y things like bouncing off walls and skidding off the roof and all of that. That was really an interesting little set piece. It's not that huge of a set piece, but that like use of space, it was quite interesting, and Jackie Chan's movements are so fluid, and it was very engaging to watch. Yeah, you have to go with that final, like the fridge fight sequence that you're talking about, like how he uses the fridges was amazing, how he uses the pinball machines,
and there's even a moment where like when he closes the sliding door and they kick it and he like falls back. That's like a genuine moment where they got him, but then he gets knocked into something that he immediately uses, and it's like, oh no, he's still got the upper hand.
Yeah. I did enjoy the ludicrous nature of the hovercraft chase set piece.
Yeah, it was great.
Him water skiing, him doing a fucking jousting competition with the hovercraft at the end with the sword was great. I like that they fixed the hovercraft. Like at the end when he uses the hovercraft, it's the same one, but they just put duct tape on where he slashed it.
Yeah.
Like that's the logic it would use. Any other action moments or set pieces that you want to talk about or highlight?
In the bar / club scene, the one that I like, it starts off with they're standing on the pool table.
Mm.
And there comes a point where Jackie Chan gets offered, but the guy that he was fighting is still on it. And even from the side of the pool table, Jackie Chan does this like leg sweep thing that knocks him off, and I thought like that was really cool. Because normally that's a thing you do close to the ground, but this was like chest level.
Yeah, I noticed that. I also really appreciated that Jackie Chan's character, and maybe Jackie Chan and Jackie Chan in other movies does this too, but he will just attack gang members that are not engaging in the fight. He would
Yeah.
just attack them because he knows that they will eventually engage in the fight.
Well, sometimes, yeah, he gets knocked in the direction of someone, so it's like, oh, well, I'll take them out while they're here. While I'm here.
Yeah, which you think wouldn't be the most honourable act, but it's fine.
They're the people he was up against weren't showing much honor themselves. So,
Those people weren't. They weren't even fighting him. They were just like standing off to the side, like, oh, we're watching him fight our boss in a noble one-on-one act. And then he's like, you know what, fuck you, and just like punches a bunch of other guys.
Well, hive mind, they're dicks.
They're dicks. They are dicks. I really did like him fighting even though it was small, and it was probably but I coupled this little fight sequence as the funniest moment in the movie when he's fighting the FBI suit gang, the White Tiger gang in the love interest's apartment, when he uses the kid's crutches or whatever to beat the guy, take his gun, take the other guy out. I love that it was very small, little flip here, little flip there. But the comedy of the big bulking dude with the long hair and the ponytail just not being fazed at all by being hit by Jackie Chan and just being like, that ain't gonna work. And then the kid being like, here you go. And he throws him a football helmet, and then he just hits him with the football helmet, and he's just like, that ain't gonna work. That hurt, but that ain't gonna work. And then just a wrench out of nowhere gets thrown.
And he doesn't even use the wrench. The guy just realizes, no, that'll do the trick. That was the best moment.
I thought that would be your favorite, and that you would play that guy.
I'd like to play that guy.
Just his reaction. No, please don't. I'll fall down. I loved the kid in this movie, much to my chagrin, because the film doesn't like the kid very much. Like, the kid's a joke. The kid's like, oh, we'll make the kid a cripple, but we'll beat the shit out of him, throw him around like a rag doll. He gets thrown and punched and hit and all these horrible things so frequently in this movie. It was amazing.
His voice was great too.
Oh, his voice was particularly annoying and great. No, that my sister gave me that cushion. No!
And a little extra cherry on top was the fact that even though he's dubbed, apparently he was originally speaking in English anyway.
Oh, really? Wow.
I think I read that he and the sister were among the people speaking English.
Wow. But he was amazing, the kid. I found him very funny. I found him very engaging. I thought he was disrespected as a character wonderfully. Like, at the end, we don't ever see him again. He just gets put into a cab, and they're just like, goodbye from the plot. And I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, go to safety, kid.
Bye. And he's like, bye.
I will go to safety.
Do you like that Jackie Chan gave him that video game console thing, and it never matters? Ever. Like, it's set up, and it's even followed through on by her asking where did he get that, but it's never like a big deal.
Yeah, I read that I think it's a Sega Game Gear, which I think was the same console that was in Surf Ninjas, yeah.
Boy. I was thinking to myself randomly, it made me chuckle, and then it made my wife chuckle when I brought this up. Every now and then when I see Jackie Chan, and I watch Jackie Chan in a movie like this, say, for some reason in the back of my brain, it pops to the front of my brain, being reminded that Jackie Chan at one point in time was a children's cartoon show.
Yep, which I watched.
Which you, of course, watched. We all did. It's one of the few TV shows that you actually watched. That I can go, well, yeah, we both watched that as children. And I don't know why, but it just amuses me that this guy eventually became like a cartoon show. As himself.
I don't think he voiced the Jackie Chan character, but he had those segments where like the childish voice would ask him a question, and then he himself live action would answer it.
Are you serious? Did he not do the voice?
I don't think so.
What? Is my childhood? Did he do the? He did the dub in this, right? Because that sounded like Jackie Chan. Or was that the guy who
Yes,
played him in the Jackie Chan Adventures? Are you serious right now?
I'm pretty sure he didn't do the voice of the Jackie Chan character.
My world is falling apart right now.
Oh god, if I'm wrong, I'm gonna feel really silly, but I think that's the case.
I gotta look this up right now. I don't do this often on the pod. I don't often.
No, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. I want to be wrong.
Well, I do not know because my computer is being uncharacteristically. Oh, there we go. Jackie Chan Adventures. All right, you. It is an American Chinese animated series. I'd like to say that straight up front. It says that.
Mm-hmm.
But while I'm slowly getting my internet to load this up, I am shocked at how funny I found this movie, if I'm honest with you, because I find Jackie Chan to be humorous in a lot of his things, and even in his Western things. But usually the films themselves, from what I've seen, aren't as funny as him. And by the way, you're right. He does not do the voice of the Jackie Chan.
So.
He appears as himself, like you said, but James
to list his favorite ice cream.
James C appears as Jackie Chan. I'm so disheartened. Now my childhood is ruined. Canceling the show. Sorry.
Mine was already ruined.
I would rather live in a world in which I believed him to be... Oh, fun fact, the guy who did do the voice of Jackie Chan in Jackie Chan Adventures is the cabbage guy from Avatar The Last Airbender. Well, there you go. There you go. And he's in the Final Fantasy VII remake as Professor Hojo. Well, there you go.
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, wow.
You know who the original voice of Hojo was? It was the guy that plays the Colonel in Metal Gear Solid.
Whoa! Metal Gear Solid? Whoa! I'm trying to think of other things to say about Rumble in the Bronx. It was a very just fun movie. I was smiling from ear to ear. I think the absurdity just kept stacking on in a wonderful way, because it didn't start out as a pure absurdity, but by the end, it's a farce, and it was wonderful. Do you have any things that you want to mention or bring up or talk about?
So because I walked into it pretty blind, I didn't know that the film was gonna be, all dubbed. So at first, when we met like the uncle character, and then he started speaking English, the voice that the uncle character had for the dub was just like very, very typical dub voice. So even though the beginning was weaker than, the middle and the end, I did think that at least that voice kept it going pretty well, because that uncle's only in like the first third.
I would have expected you to say he was one of your favorite characters.
His voice was one of my favorite characters.
You didn't think the physical actor did a good job? He was very over the top.
No, he did a great job, but I mean, there's a lot of people in this film that did physical acting really well.
But
so,
you love when old people do it.
Yeah.
And I thought his character as a whole you would have appreciated like his weird relationship and like his weird relationship with Jackie Chan and him being deaf when the plot needs him to be. I loved the uncle. I wish that he was in it more. I love that he sounds pretty much verbatim like the guy in Kung Pao that says, "That's a lot of nuts!" He reminded me of that.
Yeah.
The dubbing in this movie was... It ranged. It varied, didn't it? Sometimes it was really good, and I could barely tell. I could tell, but, it was good enough. Other times it was Ghost Stories level. And then sometimes it was Kung Pao. And then other times it was just okay. It was...
Yeah, there were a lot of moments where there was like fast-paced back and forth that was very unnatural.
But it never took me out of the movie properly, because the movie's so absurdly done that it just added to the absurdity to me.
Yeah, there was a point where I was thinking like, oh, is this the dub being done genuinely, or is this sort of like meant to be a spoof on dubbing?
I think it was done genuinely enough. Considering that Jackie Chan did the dubbing himself, I do believe. Unless that's the guy from Avatar again.
Yeah, because again, even though I knew of this film, I knew the title, I didn't know what like the main deal was, and I know now that the main deal was that this was his main breakthrough into the North American film market.
And what a great breakthrough that is for the world. It gave us the tuxedo, for example, and Around the World in 80 Days.
Okay. Sorry, my mum was talking to me.
Hi, Bartek's mum. You joined the podcast now.
I told her I was recording.
Well,
Okay,
she's in the
so
podcast now. This is staying in. We're gonna have
Sure.
featuring special guest Bartek's mum.
No, do it. Maybe that'll teach her.
That'll make her listen to this episode intently. So
She saw me tie up the chimes and everything.
that was so weirdly phrased, Bartek. She saw me tie up the chimes and everything. Like, for listeners who haven't heard you talk about how you have to silence your wind chimes in the background for each episode, that is like the most bizarre statement ever made.
Well, they should have listened to whatever the first episode we recorded was from this isolation.
You're right. Yeah, I don't know. Rumble in the Bronx, I can see why this was recommended to us. It's campy, it's fun, it's shot well. It's always nice to see action actually happening on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of it being cut away and implied that it happened. We don't get action movies like this as much nowadays. I'm not going to say at all, because you do get stuff like John Wick, in which you are shown the action and it's really quick and fast, the actual action, but not necessarily the editing of it.
I haven't seen any of the John Wick films. Do they have like martial arts action in it, or is it mainly like guns?
It's all, dude.
It's all
John Wick.
That's cool.
John Wick has machine guns, rockets, fist fights. He killed a guy with a book one time. He does it all.
Okay, that's cool.
He cannot be stopped. He's John Wick. He cannot be stopped. They killed his dog and stole his car, and now he's out for blood. But yeah, Rumble in the Bronx, a fun time had. Did you love how they just ran over the bad guy at the end?
Yes, I did, and I was surprised to see that they stripped him mostly from that act.
Yeah, they showed us his bottom.
Yeah, and his back too, right? Mm.
Whoa, don't get too turned on. Yeah, there's nothing much else I can really state about Rumble in the Bronx. It's just a very simple story, very simple characters, but excellent action set pieces, zany humor that is zany to the point of endearing, which is a very hard quality to capture in a film, I think. When you match zaniness and endearing, it's really hard to make those two things meet in the middle.
Mm.
I did like the sequence where he hid inside that truck that was filled with balls, and
yeah, that's right.
the guy betrayed him. Like, the guy driving the truck could have not said anything and they could have escaped, but the guy was like, "What the hell are you doing in my truck?"
I'm sure he regretted it.
Well, yeah, it cost him his truck.
Yeah, and it made some cars on the road crash into each other.
And balls everywhere.
I'd like to be on that road when there were balls everywhere.
I know you would, buddy. Could you imagine seeing that, like, not knowing that they were filming something, like you were like driving in an area past there, or you were flying something past there and you didn't see the cameras or the film crew and you just saw that? And
Yeah, you're basically asking, can you imagine if you were that old retired couple from the tuxedo?
yes, can you imagine if you were that old retired couple from the
You just
from the tuxedo?
you just leave the hotel where there were a woman that was half naked who's shouting "Emperor, Emperor!" Then you go to the street and there are balls everywhere.
And Jackie Chan ages drastically in between those two moments.
Yes, and little do you know that like 20 minutes prior he got his butt tickled.
Fingered.
Fingered, that's right, that's your word,
That's the tuxedo reference for all those listeners out there.
Also, I said butt. I should have said bum.
Bum. Yeah. Do we want to give our final thoughts?
Definitely check out this film if you want to have a good time and you want to have a nice visual spectacle. Like, I remember I said a similar thing with Who Killed Captain Alex, because they had some pretty good martial arts stuff there. But this one has a lot more like prop gags going on with its martial arts, so definitely that's something worth checking out.
Yeah, definitely check this out. And obviously, if you have not checked out a Jackie Chan action film before, then this is an easy one to get you onto that path. It's very accessible. It's good for newcomers. It shows you the strength of Jackie Chan, which is he's funny in action. The action is funny. And he gets hurt. You see his pain and struggle in the set pieces.
Dude, in the credits when like it was showing all those people getting hurt and they were playing like this happy music over it, it felt like really jarring.
Dude, I was horrified. I had my mouth like open, like in shock because
Me too.
It was like showing these people get horrifically injured, and they don't show us them not being not horrifically injured after. We see a chick on the motorcycle thing land on her fucking head, and then they're carrying her off in a stretcher, and we don't see her again.
And you see all these like worried crew members and actors just like running into the shot to like go around them, ask them if they're okay. I mean,
Lots
you
of
see
people
Jackie Chan playing with a wheelchair at one point, but that's about it.
Lots of crying. I guess for an action movie, the bloopers would be fuck up and stunts, right? But like, and that can be funny depending how it looks. But usually when you watch a blooper, you're in it for when they flub their lines or cue is missed or something that's funny. But
They should have thrown one of those randomly in there.
yeah, I would have appreciated that. But instead they showed us like Jackie Chan breaking his ankle and screaming in pain.
And then putting on pants that make it look like he's not injured at all.
And a fake shoe thing that goes over, which was, hey, that was cool. I didn't know that.
And then proving to you that he actually did genuinely jump off that, car park roof.
Oh, I didn't doubt it.
I didn't doubt it either, but that was like, very pure confirmation.
I do know that. It was good confirmation. As a Catholic, I like those things, confirmations. But
Yes, it's my second favorite commandment. Not commandment. What am I talking
what
about?
are you talking about, Bartek?
I forget the word.
Oh, you'll ask your mum. Bring her back in.
No, she interrupted the podcast to tell me that she's leaving.
No, you phone her now and tell her to come back. We need her.
The word I was thinking of was sacrament.
Thank you, Bartek's mum, for giving Bartek the strength to figure it out. So that's our conversation about Bartek's mum, but our conversation about Rumble in the Bronx is over too, evidently.
Yeah, we needed to pad time
We needed to pad time. No, we don't.
because it was so easy to talk about.
It's just, no, that's the thing. Like, no one's expecting a huge podcast episode about Rumble in the Bronx being like, was it bold of the movie to show the Twin Towers in 1995? Was that foreshadowing to 9/11? I don't think so.
No, it was bold to show the Canadian mountains.
It was bold to show those. I don't care about that stuff.
Me neither. I actually didn't notice.
I did, but I didn't care. So Bartek, it is your recommendation for the next episode. What is the
Yes?
film you are recommending?
Well, I feel like since we just watched a martial arts film, I should change it up and recommend a different martial arts film. And this film, since this is a week where I pick a non-American film, I'm returning us to the country of India to a 2016 film called Sultan.
Sultan.
Yes, Sultan.
Now, obviously, this is a Bollywood movie?
Yes,
It is a Bollywood movie.
yes.
Are we watching this? Well, I can't remember. It's been a while. So is this one where it's naturally dubbed over into English, or is this one where we watch it with subtitles?
With subtitles.
With subs. So this is different to Main Huna.
Well, Main Hunna was also subtitles.
It had lots of it in English too.
Well, yeah, but that's a normal thing in Bollywood.
That's what I'm clarifying. I'm just wanting to make sure, because in my memory, I remember Main Huna having lots of English in it.
Yeah, and yeah, it's random English.
Right. Okay. Wonderful. So, how long is it?
I think it'd be about as long as Main Hunna.
So 3 hours. Okay, cool.
Just shy of.
And is this easy to be accessible to people?
I think it should be. I don't think it's on Netflix, but apparently this is a really high-grossing film, so I'm sure it'll be easy to find.
Does this star our boy?
It stars a different Khan, but it doesn't star Shah Rukh.
So it stars Khan.
His name is Salman Khan.
Not Wrath of Khan.
Not Wrath of Khan, no.
Khan! Alright, so thank you very much for selecting that, Bartek. So listening people, make sure to check out that movie in between so you are all caught up on what we will be discussing next week or next episode. Bartek, where can the listening people find us?
You can find us on the internet, specifically at various websites such as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can also email us at spitandpolished@gmail.com. Our episodes can also be found on various websites such as iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify. I was trying to remember if we had that.
Yes.
And I think we're on a lot of them, so you could probably just look anywhere and probably find us. Just Google Spit and Polish Presents, and there we are.
There we are. Bartek's mum might be there too. Who knows? You have to find out.
Yeah.
Yes, Queen.
I should see if she was picked up.
Oh, I could hear her, but I couldn't hear what she was saying.
Okay.
I could just hear, and you being like, "Mommy."
Yeah, my mum's from Peanuts.
Yeah, pretty much. She's very tall to all of us. We cannot see her face. Like all
that's true.
Peanuts adults. Alright, listening people, thank you very much for tuning in to our discussion of our Rumble in the Bronx. The Bronx felt rumbled alright. Bartek, pleasure as always, and
Pleasure.
Pleasure. And until next time, listening people, remember, your childhood is cancelled. Even if you weren't a child when the Jackie Chan Adventures cartoon show was on, it's still cancelled because Jackie Chan didn't do the voice of Jackie Chan. Yet I think in the cast list, the daughter character or the child character is voiced
The niece.
by a Chan, and I don't know if she's related to Jackie Chan or if she's just a fellow Chan, but they got someone with the last name Chan to voice a character whose last name is Chan in the Jackie Chan Adventures, but not Jackie Chan as Jackie Chan.
Nah, she's a weeb.
Woo, okay.
Weeb-chan.
There you go. Goodbye, Weeb Chans.